Welcome to the Overheard Podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Rudel. With me always,
We got Matty Rage in the house. Let's go.
what is good? You'll notice no guest with us this
No
week.
doubt, dude. We don't get this often where me and Dan just get to sit side by side with no one in between.
Yeah, this is a little strange. I never see the side of you, Matt.
I know. You always got to look from over there.
That's it. The reason we don't have a guest with us is we pre-recorded our guest a couple weeks ago, back on April 1st. Our guest this week is Maxime Daigle, the author of the book Beyond Democracy. We have it with us here. It is a call for a meritocratic democracy. But we're going to cut to that in just a little bit. If it is your first time joining us, please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button wherever you're listening to.
No doubt.
A bunch of people watch the show. A lot less people subscribe. I don't know why. We can bring you way more guests, way more episodes. The more subscribers, the more likes we get. So don't be shy to smash that up.
No doubt. No doubt. Hit it.
So, big day yesterday, man.
Yes.
Federal
Big day.
election yesterday.
Uh-oh.
For those that aren't in the know, maybe you haven't checked the news today or you don't like conventional news media. The Liberals won.
Yep.
Minority government. So Mark Carney is set to remain the prime minister. He assumed the role early March with the stepping down of Justin Trudeau, which a lot of people were happy to see him go. As it doesn't really happen, it hasn't really happened too many times in Canadian history that a prime minister is appointed in the way that he has. So they called a snap election, get the votes in, especially dealing with Donald Trump down south.
Trump was at, what was it, the Poilievre's thing or something, was it?
Like Trump let out this big tweet.
Oh, it was just a tweet?
Basically supporting Poilievre, which was the conservative candidate, being like, if you support him, like, it'll be good for us and all this stuff, which might have scared people away.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, with him trying to do the 51st state thing, like, probably some people were like, okay, maybe we don't.
Big time. I've been listening to some kind of political commentary on the subject, specifically, who was it? It was a Joe Rogan episode with Brian Peterson.
Oh, okay.
Brian Peterson, if you've ever listened to him or him speak in any capacity, let alone his podcast, you'll know that he's not a huge fan of the Liberal Party. But this is, you might have seen it online too. It's been clipped a whole bunch. He goes on to say that even as not a fan of the Liberal Party, that Mark Carney is in fact, in his opinion, the best suited to face Trump and this whole trade war, tariff war.
Makes sense. I mean, he's got the background, I guess. I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know if the actions of the president down south helped or hurt anyone in that. But interesting to note that Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader, is projected to have lost his own seat, as well as Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the New Democratic Party, the NDP.
How'd they manage to do that?
I'm not 100% sure, but the polls were reading that they might lose their seats. So I don't know how that works. Do they have to like find a new head for the party or something? Or do they still get to lead the party, just not have a riding? Interesting. So yeah, some interesting stuff. Carney's Liberals were leading with 168 seats. You need 172 for a majority government here in Canada. So again, we're pretty much in the same place we left off before this election.
Yep.
With another election probably coming in the next 1 or 2 years based on what happens. Other than that, the Conservatives are set to remain in opposition with the second largest party, leading with 144 seats. So again, they're going to be the biggest opposition to the Liberals, just like we were prior. The Bloc Québécois is leading with 23 seats, but interesting to note that they can only run in Quebec, of course. One thing that I gathered while watching the leaders debate was at one point during the debate, he's like, I'm not interested in being prime minister, which was an interesting thing to hear during the leaders debate.
That's wild.
Yeah, interesting structure with the Bloc Québécois, but they do have some seats, so representing them in their ridings. The NDP has 7 seats. The Green Party has 1. So we're going to cut to some slides here that I got from BBC. The first one is in regards to the voter turnout.
Okay, here we go.
So the turnout at Canadian federal elections, the percentage of registered electors that voted. So 67% of registered electors went in and voted. So it's almost 2/3.
Yeah.
So that's good numbers. You can kind of see they fluctuate between 61 and 68%. So on the higher end of the spectrum as far as voter turnout. Obviously, this election has a lot of people riled up, no matter which side you were on. I think there was a lot of strong points to get out there.
No doubt.
If you want to move on to the next one, elections results by province. So this is kind of the breakdown where you get to see how many seats are held by which party in which province. So obviously you can tell Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, kind of some blue all across the board except for the eastern provinces. Heavy red presence in Ontario, heavy red presence in Quebec. NDP up in Nunavut, and a stronghold in BC with the one lone Green Party member with a riding in BC, which is quite interesting.
That's sick.
Did you happen to check out the Green Party platform at all?
No, what were they saying?
It was like extremely progressive, extremely, I want to say socialist, basically like mandatory basic incomes, free services of all kinds. It was very, very interesting to go through that people would even suggest that. Maybe that's why they weren't asked to to go into the federal debate. I noticed in ours, we didn't have a Green Party member in our riding. We had a Conservative, we had a Liberal, we had NDP, then we had the People's Party, and then we had the Christian Party.
What?
Yeah.
There's a Christian
There
party?
is. There is.
Wild.
I also read that in Poilievre's riding, as like a protest to him at some point, there was over 90 people on the ballot.
What?
So you can register as independents, and I guess as a protest to make it more difficult for people to vote. They had 90 registered people on the ballot.
That's wild.
The next one here is the change in the vote since 2021. So this is the percentage of point change in party share of the national vote. So the Liberals since 2021 in this election gaining 10.9 seats, or points, I should say. The Conservatives gaining 7.7. Obviously, we'll shift to the parties that lost. The Green Party losing 1.1, the Bloc Québécois losing 1.3 points. The People's Party, which is the Libertarian group, I believe, is what they kind of associate with, losing 4.2 points. And the NDP, tragically, meeting their demise in this election and losing 11.6 points. Seem to be highly unorganized from the NDP standpoint as far as representation. A lot of their representatives that were running didn't even have pictures up, I noticed when I was watching election coverage last night.
Weird.
So yeah, interesting stuff. Looks like the election is over. We're pretty much back where we started, but with a new leader. Now, a few points that I kind of took from the plan was whether you voted blue, whether you voted red, or anywhere in between. I think the point is we have to come together as a nation, as Canadians, obviously facing a pretty big threat from down south. I've been listening to all types of podcasts, news pieces, just about how this whole tariff situation is really shaking things up and how dealing with Donald Trump and the Americans not being a world leader anymore. Drastic change, I think, is needed and hopefully is on the horizon. So we want to commend everyone out that went out there and voted.
Yeah, no doubt.
Time to support each other coast to coast and kind of keep on moving forward and protecting our own interests as Canadians. We need the support of our neighbors if we're going to navigate this situation together. I think at the end of the day, what the people want is lower cost of housing, lower costs at the grocery store, and at the gas pumps.
Well, that's pretty standard across the board, right? Like,
of course. Now, concepts as well as far as the economy goes, people seem to have this idea that the good times will go on forever when the good times do come.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it does ebb and flow like everything in the world.
It's not always the 80s where everybody's got tons of money, you know what I mean? Like,
for sure, right? And we go through downtimes. I think the important thing to pull from this is recession is defined by the GDP of your country going down or in reverse for 2 consecutive quarters. Now, you can say that we're in a recession, sure. Will it last forever? I think it depends on one person who can easily stop it with the press of a button, strangely enough. Will it happen? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out, eh?
We'll find out for sure. Our guest this week, kind of on a similar topic. We recorded this a few weeks ago, not knowing what the outcome of the election would be. Max Daigle, a call for a meritocratic democracy. Let's jump right into it. We'll let him explain himself and his own points, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Overheard Podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Rudel, here always with
Matty Rage. Let's go.
I know we've already started this episode, but this is our guest today. We've pre-recorded this. It is April 1st. No joking.
Yeah, no joke. All jokes aside, it's all jokes aside.
We're here with Maxime Daigle. He is a political activist, self-published writer, has been involved in the fight against fracking in New Brunswick, and has been outspoken against the government corruption and environmental issues since the beginning of his activism, which was over 30 years ago. We've come to discuss his new book, Beyond Democracy, A Call for a Meritocratic Democracy. Welcome to the show, Max. How you doing today?
Good, you?
Doing
Good.
great. You're doing great.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and like how you came to spend some time here in the Bow Valley?
Mm-hmm. I'm originally from New Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I grew up. I came out in Alberta in 96. And in 2017, I had a friend that was doing videography in Canmore. So I wanted to get into that. So yeah, that's what brought me in the valley. And obviously the nature, right? The mountains,
For
just
sure.
beautiful, man.
Nice. So what type of videography were you doing?
A little bit of everything, right?
Cool.
You know, we did some filming of rock climbing and ice climbing
Cool.
and corporate stuff and
Nice. Your
all kind
typical
of stuff, right?
typical Bow Valley outdoors.
Yeah,
kinda-
yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's
Yeah.
sweet. How did you get into that? Is that something you've been into?
No, just my buddy was in that, and
Oh, cool.
I wanted to try to learn videography and that kind of stuff,
Nice.
and maybe produce some documentaries on
Cool.
things that I'm passionate about, and
Cool.
so that's how I got involved with that.
So you learned quite a bit then?
Learned some,
Yeah.
learned some. No expert yet, but
No,
you
actually,
know,
yeah.
Boy, is
Yeah.
that a long road, let me
No
tell
doubt.
you.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I think we're all on the same journey here.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So been in the valley since 2017. What keeps you around besides the nature, obviously?
Well, I've worked in the valley here,
Mhm.
right? Driving taxi in Canmore first, and then in Banff.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a job in between that I can work. I've worked the oil patch, and commercial fishing, and whatever I can pick up, construction.
Nice.
So when I'm out of work, well, I can always fall on that, right?
True.
So you've done a
true.
little bit of everything then.
A little bit, yeah.
Nice.
I took electrical engineering, right?
Cool.
So
Very
I
cool.
specialize in alternate energy systems.
Nice. Where'd you do that?
Back in New Brunswick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like a little jack of all trades, I guess. You've,
And master of none.
master.
Master of none.
Well, I guess
yeah.
that's why you're here today. You're trying to master a few of these, right? So, what's like you've been a political activist for like 30 years now.
Yep.
What sparked that originally?
Well, to be totally clear, and I don't want to get into all the details, but I
Right,
was
right,
brought up in a toxic environment.
Okay.
So for me, nature was always my safe place,
Cool.
right? The outdoors. And I felt to create a purpose for myself where help others, right?
Right.
So that's kind of like what I created for myself
Very cool.
as a reality, right?
So you just fell in love with nature, and that's kind of what you wanted to dedicate your life towards.
Yeah, not just nature, but humanity as a whole, right?
Cool.
Always, you know.
I think that's a
Um,
pretty common,
No doubt.
common feeling for people that come from those types of situations is
Yeah.
wanting to, like, if you didn't get that help for yourself, you want to give that help to other people, kind of on a broader scale, like
Yeah.
No
a
doubt.
philanthropic.
We've seen
life.
that a few times on the podcast for sure. Big time. We've had guests on that just grew up with certain struggles and overcame those struggles, and now they're giving back to people that are going through those exact same things, right? So it kind of ties all in. It's awesome.
100%.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
So you're heavily involved in the fight against fracking in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
What were some of the main challenges you faced there in that fight specifically, and how did you overcome them?
Well, that would take 2
Oh,
hours,
God.
but Um, just like most topics, it's very hard to break through to have your voice heard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when it came to that industry, one company that was pushing hard, there was about, I think it was like 7 companies back in those days. It was like almost 15 years ago now. This company, Southwestern Energy from the US, $17 billion company.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Irving in the background, Irving Oil,
Mm-hmm.
and you had Repsol. So go look at those numbers. You can imagine the fight you're up against,
For sure.
plus
Yeah.
the government, right? So that was a huge challenge to get some credibility, because no mainstream media is going to give you the time of day.
Well, for sure.
Well,
If
when
the
you've got
government,
when you've got competition like that as well, like what do you like? What's your say matter versus a company that's $17 billion? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he makes a very good point. Like how did you get around that? Like how did you kind of get your way in or get your foot in the door?
Well, what happened is they had there was a commission, an energy commission in New Brunswick,
Okay.
and I was in school in electrical engineering, and they opened up to the public to do presentations. So what I did, I basically went in and presented. I had 10 minutes.
Okay.
Most of the people there were from corporations, from government, whatnot, lobbyists.
Right.
And I presented, and I went there. I had a hoodie on and everything, right?
Oh, God.
Just in between classes, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I did my presentation. I worked on it for like 2-3 weeks, and believe it or not, when I presented, I would guess maybe 95% of the people there, which were from corporations, from government. There was a few environmental groups, and they all started clapping,
Amazing.
right?
Right on.
And they're like, "Who is this guy?" So environmental groups started approaching me. Can you help us
Of
with
course,
that? Can
of
you,
course.
because I presented that I worked in the industry for many years
Mm-hmm.
in the U.S., in Alberta, Saskatchewan, BC, right? So it got from there, and I started. The environmental groups were like, "You got to start doing presentations, blah blah blah." I'm like, I'm terrible at that. Like I hate speaking in front of people, right?
Yeah.
Just like a lot of people.
For sure.
Right.
And I started doing that, starting gaining some credibility. First they ignore you, then they try to discredit you, which started to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Newspapers and media started to do that. Certain
Competition, I guess.
oh man,
Yeah.
and then eventually it got to the point where it was like a head-to-head between me and the head of this corporation, SWN.
Which is probably a pretty intimidating position to be in.
Oh, for sure, because this
Okay.
guy had a background in he had a master's in psychology from the U.S. Air Force.
Oh no.
He
Okay.
worked he worked for Schlumberger for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
right? So then a radio host said, "Okay, that's enough. It's been going on for 2 years. CTV or whoever would interview him. It was a head-to-head. They said,
Yeah.
let's have a debate." And we had a debate, and yeah, it didn't go well for him.
Oh God.
Amazing. Well, good for you, honestly.
Yep.
So that's I definitely wanted to talk a little bit about your past, especially in that fight, because I feel like that's a very rare event to have a citizen go up against not only multinational companies, but when they're teamed up with the government and actually kind of
Yeah.
make their point heard,
Yep.
which kind of ties in to this new book that you've written, right?
Yep.
Beyond Democracy. Now,
On democracy.
how did your experience in the past lead you to where you are today in writing this book?
Well, like I said earlier, like I always had a passion to try to help people
Mm-hmm.
in general. And I've been in different activist movements, let's say, over the years. And a lot of people, that will gravitate towards religion or spirituality and try to create cultural change. And over the years, when I was, let's say, popular, because we know politics is all about popularity,
No doubt.
political groups in New Brunswick were starting to approach me to run for politics. And I started to really, look at how we could fix with legislation
Mm-hmm.
the systems. And back then, my first idea was to whatever, if I'm going to join your political party and run for office, I said, this is my condition. we have to have contractual law
Mhm.
on whatever we promise to the public. Meaning, whatever we promise is legally binding.
Which, for those listening in, is pretty groundbreaking stuff, right? We're going to dive into it a little bit more in a minute, but when we met and discussed in the kind of our pre-pod, the kind of meeting,
Yep.
like there's actually, instead of laws being put in place for politicians from lying to us, there's actually laws in place that allows them to lie to us, and it keeps them from being held responsible for the lies that they tell.
Yep.
So you wrote this book, Beyond Democracy, A Call for Meritocratic Democracy. What is a meritocratic democracy for those that maybe have never heard of this term before?
Okay. Well, if you look at the word meritocratic, there's merit.
Mm-hmm.
So do you merit that position? Do you deserve that position?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Good point.
Right?
Good
So
point.
we have a democracy, which you know, in Canada, you have a parliamentary democracy, you have a representative democracy, and you have aspects of liberal democracy.
Right.
People use that word broadly, but
Yeah.
they don't really look into it. So you have that aspect, let's say, in Canada. So you need what we have right now is, like you said earlier, a popularity contest.
Absolutely.
Right?
So
It's
if-
not based on merit.
So what would be the merit of someone running for office? Like how would we go about measuring the merit that would get someone into one of those positions?
Mhm. Well, basically, as we do most jobs for in the public or private sectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be based on merit. You have to prove your competency, your qualifications.
True.
You have to properly screen for certain jobs psychologically.
Right.
If you're mentally fit for it,
Right.
emotionally
Criminal background check.
fit, everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, makes sense.
I think the psychological evaluation point was a good one. Specifically in your book, you talk about the dark triad of personality traits. For those that maybe don't know what those are, what is it? It's Machiavellianism,
Mhm.
narcissism, and psychopathy.
Yeah.
And I guess you state in your book that it's been scientifically proven
Yeah.
that a lot of people that run for these positions of power, and whether it be in politics or high levels of corporations,
Yeah.
kind of have these traits
Yeah.
in them, and it's almost rewarded in the systems that we have in place.
Exactly right. So that was published back in 2002 from a psychologist back in BC, and in 2014 they set a testing mechanisms to be able to screen people.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
Okay.
mean that someone is clinically possibly could be diagnosed as
Right,
being
right.
a narcissist or a psychopath, which is very hard to do,
Of
Yeah.
course.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
right? So
And the
they set a
percentage, and the percentage of those people in the general population, like the percentage of people that are actually diagnosed like narcissists, is insanely small.
It's quite low,
Yeah, it's not like
But you can share some of those
Oh,
traits,
for
right,
sure.
without being fully diagnosed or
Right.
like.
so that's kind of where.
But that's
it's
basically
going,
what the
right?
dark triad says,
Oh,
that
okay.
you have to, even though you might not be diagnosed as a narcissist or a psychopath, you can have levels of these traits where it can be
Right.
harmful to others.
Sure, and
Right?
especially on a scale or on a stage or platform like that,
Yeah,
that obviously has far more reaching implications than just your immediate friends or family.
for
right?
sure.
So-
It can have severe consequences on the functioning,
right,
the healthy functioning of society, right?
crazy.
Well, I think I would
That's
agree with
wild.
you there in the sense of like being able to lie to the public and then not have any remorse about not fulfilling what you've said. Like,
Right.
I'm sure you could, if you really wanted to choose specific examples in government today of
Mhm.
where promises have been made and not fulfilled.
Yeah.
I think that's something that needs to be looked into much further.
For
That's a
sure.
very, very good
And
point.
even with what you proposed, like who's going to be responsible for this? Like, say a politician running for office makes a promise, it's not kept. Like, who's going to be responsible, and what are what would be the proposed consequences to this?
So
Okay.
if you have, that's the thing, like there's human flaws that needs to be addressed,
for sure.
in my opinion,
Right,
in politics,
Mhm.
right? Like if and a lot of people are being manipulated when it comes to politicians, and it's across the board.
For sure.
A lot of people, A lot of politicians lie at times, right? And people say, "Oh, this politician doesn't lie. This politician doesn't lie." Well, can you provide a human that doesn't lie?
Yeah, exactly.
Start there,
Good example.
Yep.
right? So if all humans lie from time to time, are they lying to us? If there's no laws to address that, and what we have in Canada is parliamentary privilege, which was
Right.
entrenched in the Constitution in 1867, and England was in 1689, and the U.S. was in 1789. That
Right.
protects them from lying and have
Really, that's
certain
crazy.
types of behavior, right? So if that is not addressed, we're being manipulated
Well, and I mean,
from time to time. It's not right.
I think with politicians, it's a little easier to like do the black and white. Like, oh, they said they were going to put this much money into that. They didn't do it. Whereas, like the average person, it's like, did you eat my sandwich? No. It's like, can you prove it? Not really. But is that really important? Like, I think with politicians, it would be a little easier to kind of discern what is a lie and what isn't a lie. You know what I mean? Like, if you're coming in on your campaign and you're promising all these things, and then, you know, halfway through your term, there's none of these things even rolling out, then is that something that you would consider a lie? Or like, how long does it take?
Well, I think
It's-
one issue that kind of comes to mind specifically while talking about this
Right.
is promise to fix the water issues on the reserves.
Mm.
Right? So
point.
has it been fixed? Did they vow to fix it? I mean, who gets held responsible for that? Have they put stuff in place to fix it? Maybe. Like, I don't. Who would be the one to hold the government responsible? Like, why would the government put rules in place to limit their own power? I mean, they have in the past with the Constitution, with this, with that, right? I
Right.
mean, how do these changes come to be made, in your
It
opinion?
has to come from society. It has to come from the grassroots, from people themselves.
Mhm.
You know,
Okay.
like they have that power already,
To suscept themselves to a higher level of transparency, almost,
right? So
right?
they keep people emotionally, triggered by certain things that they care about to get votes,
Right.
right?
Now more so than ever, I think, like, the whole emotional tie into politics is, like, I think they've weaponized it almost against
It
us in a
is.
way where
Yeah.
if two sides don't get along, well, there's passion involved and people are visibly upset. You have people going on Facebook
Right.
going, don't talk to me if you believe in this, and don't talk to me if you believe in that. It's like, the whole part of why we do this show is the opposite of that, is to give people a voice and to
No
have
doubt, yeah.
conflicting people come and talk, because that's how we move forward as a society, not by
Yeah.
alienating each other and existing in echo chambers of what we believe to be true.
Yeah. If you look back at, back in the day when people lived under monarchies, under a king and queen,
Mhm.
like they didn't have this concept that we have now as democracy, modern democracy, right? So it's the same thing now. Like we gotta look back and say, well, can it be better, right? Whether it's science or ethics or governance.
But wouldn't, like, a king system kind of be a meritocracy in that
No.
sense? If the kings were bred for leadership, or if they were schooled in a specific way for leadership, wouldn't that be closer to a meritocracy than?
See, this is where it gets confusing, and I could have tried to reinvent a word,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
Instead of using meritocracy
Okay.
or meritocratic democracy,
Yeah.
but I like the word merit in there,
Okay, cool.
right? So people will look at that and say, well, you're talking about an aristocracy or Socratic aristocracy,
Yeah.
where Socrates was advocating for philosopher kings to try
Right.
to find the best of us.
For sure.
Some concerns were about elitism and all that kind of stuff, right? So what I'm proposing is in reverse, where you have the proper screening, vetting, providing proper education to people before they enter office.
Okay.
And have legislation around that to protect the human flaws of lying and manipulating, of deflecting, of making broken promises, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have legislation surrounding that
Because
in the
that,
democracy. And once you have that, then just everything is as a normal.
Right.
Limited terms, voting,
Yeah.
but you screen the people first, just like you would do for any business,
Any
employee.
job. Yeah. Like nobody wants some
Right?
wacko that's been to jail 5 times to be a part of their staff. You know what I mean? Like,
Or I mean, someone that's just so heavily embedded in business, right? That
Yep.
they can run on any pretense, but in the back of their head, they're in someone's pocket or they're
Yep.
acting on behalf of someone else's affairs.
Yep.
But honestly, thank you for clearing that up, because as we were talking about kings and that, I was like, well, wait, isn't that? But that's a very good, like, thank
Reverse
you for clearing that up.
Reverse that.
Reverse. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
right?
that's awesome.
Screen the people, vet the people, make sure they're qualified and competent. Have legislation to protect the public from not manipulating us,
For sure.
right? And
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing. One thing I didn't mention yet is private lobbying. Done.
Right.
Yes, we will
Yeah, we
talk
were gonna-
about that
we
in
were-
a little bit,
yeah,
for sure.
I was gonna ask, like, since we're kind of almost there, like, what's your opinion on that?
It should be made public.
Right.
No private lobbying, whether it's to the federal, provincial, or municipal level.
Right.
If you want to have a talk, if you want to have influence on policies, on laws, on getting subsidies or getting licenses for your own business or whatever it may be, make it private.
Right.
All
Well,
private.
because-
All public, sorry.
Or
Yeah,
All
right?
public. All
Because,
public,
yeah,
right?
throwing millions of dollars at a subject that you have interest in, you know what I mean?
Well,
It
of course,
seems
or like having huge companies throw money at campaigns
Right.
for politicians
Specific,
that
yeah.
will support their
Their
deeds or
agendas, right,
misdeeds,
yeah.
right? Or their tax breaks or whatever.
Yep.
we're worried about other countries interfering on our own elections, and we got stuff like that. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. It's the same, like, I don't know. In my eyes, it seems
We have
it's
corporations.
conflict of interest, man. It's just there's no way around it. Like, it is what it is. So
We have corporations that are valued larger than some countries that are allowed to meddle in the elections through lobbying, which is legal.
Yep.
Again, that was like my question was, what do you think is wrong with the current system in the first place? And obviously, number one is lobbying. Where do we move to a system where that's not allowed?
That's what I present in the book.
Mm-hmm.
You not need to pass legislation for these things to have consequences if they happen.
For sure.
It has to be made public.
And I think your own example of being asked to run for leadership or being asked to run in politics and not doing it without these laws
things.
being put in place.
Yep.
I think if more people followed that example
Yep.
that we're getting into politics, maybe we wouldn't be in the place that we are now.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You
Yeah.
got to try to find the best amongst us, you know, and have the laws to hold them because we're all corruptible. We're all at times
right.
greedy. Sometimes we're selfish, right? You got to look at how can we address the human flaws, not the conservative flaws or the liberal flaws or whatever it may be. We all have these flaws.
I think it's looking past the banner and getting down
Right.
to just human flaws.
right,
Like,
you're just getting back to the roots of just. I mean, it is what it is. If someone gave you $20 million to, like, say 2 sentences on a news broadcast, it'd be
probably
like,
do it.
well, I accidentally slipped that in. I don't know how I mentioned this company or that company accidentally during my press conference. My bad. Like,
Or gave subsidies to that company
or either, yeah, like it's
or have laws written a certain way for that industry.
right. Exactly. Yeah, it makes sense.
So I think it's something that's very important that we need to be mindful of, not only as we move through the current federal elections, which just
Right.
came to culmination yesterday, but as we move forward to our own municipal elections
No
as
doubt.
well, is
Right.
I don't know where these candidates are from, what their story is, what they're about.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of what we're going to try to do is our own. We're not going to psychologically screen everyone,
yeah.
but we're going to have the hopeful candidates on the show so we
I'm
can
not
talk
not
about
a
it.
doctor.
Yeah,
I'm not Dr. Phil. I mean, I can put the outfit on, do the Shane Gillis like Dr. Phil thing if you want. Like,
But
where'd y'all come from?
Like I said, we're not here to evaluate people that are running, but we're here to kind of
Showcase.
showcase and peer into who these people really are, right?
Right.
Because I mean, it's easy to point the name at a faceless victim, but like, let's meet who's going to be representing us and
Right.
let's see what's going on before.
Especially in a community like ours, it's a little more personal, right? Like, you want to know that these people have the same values as you do.
For sure.
Especially in such a small mountain town, it's easy to get one-sided, or, you know, people tend to stick to their one kind of train of thought, right? Like, it is what it is, but I think that's kind of what we're gonna try to do this this summer and
Absolutely. And
See if
follow
we-
and moving through. So
yeah, no doubt.
one thing that I did want to talk to you about, Max, was divisive politics, specifically because I feel like it's a big tool that's being used, especially in the last 5 years. We've even seen it ourselves in our own political discourse here in the town regarding the pedestrian zone. Divisive politics, like, what do you think is the ultimate goal behind it?
The goal or the flaw of it?
Let's start with
right?
let's start with maybe the flaw, and then we'll see the goal. Like, what's the ultimate goal?
Well, it's again, it's based on lobbying, right? I'm sure there's some businesses downtown Banff that wanted to keep it going.
It's proven. It's it's
right?
a fact.
And it's you know, if you put yourself in their shoes, you know, you would say the same thing.
Right.
For sure.
But the people on the other side that are impacted by it negatively, you know, where were they considered in the process of after COVID, where they decided to keep it closed? Were they in the process of was there a vote? Was there a referendum to say, okay, are we going to keep it open? Everybody's got their opinion, their concerns, whatever it may be. Did that happen?
Well, I don't think it did, which was what led to
the plebiscite.
Right?
So
which again,
so to me, this is what should have happened.
for sure.
You know, there was some validity into having it closed during COVID,
Of course.
Oh, big time.
right? To keep the
Right.
economy, you
Safe.
know,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
healthy as possible in Banff,
Mhm.
right? But afterwards, if the politicians in Banff, in my opinion, if they would have really wanted to be non-biased, ethical, you know, care about everyone equally.
For sure would have maybe.
Okay,
done
let's
that
have a
before.
referendum. It's a good idea. Maybe it's a bad idea. Let's have
Right.
a referendum
Mhm.
right away and let democracy decide.
Absolutely.
Smart.
That didn't happen.
And it's a big part of why I wanted to have you on, because as I'm reading through your book, I'm putting these dots together that not only all this stuff is kind of relevant on a national scale,
Yep.
but also on a provincial and a municipal scale,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
We're seeing lobbying in our town. We're seeing divisive politics. Like, anyone that was against the project is seen as anti-progress, old whatevers who don't want to do this, where like, we're a national park. Our focus should be ecology and keeping this place.
Well, it was crazy
what
how
it is.
50-50 our guests were on. I had 1 week somebody would have an opinion. Next week it was like, I don't care. And then the next week it was like, no, tear it down. Then the next week it was, no, like, keep it up. I like it. But I guess, I don't know. It just, it's crazy how our small little town can still have that little dynamic of just
Crazy,
like,
huh?
man, whatever. You're like one of the pedestrian zone kids, like, get lost, man. Like, it's,
Well, it comes back to divisive politics and how I think it's used to keep the citizens arguing amongst each other,
Instead of
so
paying
they're not
attention
worried about
to
bigger problems.
the real
right?
issue, right? Yeah.
Like, I feel like that comes back to like the art of war, and like some of the oldest texts of human history is like, if you're in power, how do you keep power? Is by having your people fight each other and not growing together.
Right.
You
And
know what I
that's-
mean? Like,
and that's the thing, right? Like in democracies, like whether it's capitalism or modern democracy as we have it now, whether it's at the municipal level, provincial level, or even international level, it's all about fighting for control. And a lot of people will say whatever it takes to gain that control,
it's true.
right? So that's manipulation,
100%.
right? So this is the problem, you know, like people aren't talking about objective evidence, objective truth, absolute truth, which is very hard to prove.
right.
Anything absolute, right?
Call it a
So,
hearsay,
so,
right?
but it's the idea of like always competing, always fighting to have that control.
Mhm.
And if people really cared across the board about everyone, we wouldn't need that. You would not need that. You would speak from the heart. You would listen from the heart, and you would observe what from the heart, right? So we all want to be healthy, you know,
Right.
For sure.
at the end of the day. So why not just have a respectable conversation instead of like trying to vilify that side or vilify that
It's
that
true.
idea or
It's-
that idea?
yeah.
Let's just talk
It happens
about it.
quick too, right?
It
You
does.
you can't have a healthy community, province,
No,
country, or a world if it's going to be based on things that
combative.
that
right?
that combative that
Yeah.
that creates a toxic environment.
True. Well,
agree.
with the municipal election coming up, we're looking to kind of dive deeper into that. In your opinion, what's one thing that people should be thinking about heading into it, and kind of, something that you should keep an eye on? And
For the elections next fall,
for the elections here, for the municipal elections coming up.
Again, the idea is that the things that we've talked about right now.
For sure.
Like, how can I, we function on trust, but it's not good enough. Like what I'm proposing in this book, like it's more on a provincial, federal level, but these things could be integrated, some of it at least, to some extent within the municipality. Like it's not just about like fighting about like lower taxes or fixing the roads or whatever it may be. Like, how can we make, this needs to be a part of the conversation. How can we make the process of governance better?
Or the process of choosing our governance better, I think, is kind of it. And like, I think election reform has been brought up more down south than it has in Canada. I think they face definitely their own specific issues. But even here in Canada, we find ourselves in a kind of similar situation where we're stuck between two parties that have most of the control. With the other ones, they're not really in the fight. So is it really a multiple party system the way that it's organized or set up right now?
Right.
I mean, do politicians that are in power right now want this type of reform? I think that's the main thing, and the main factor behind it, once again, unfortunately, it's a natural human factor, is greed.
Yeah.
I think greed is just motivates people to go against what they vowed to protect, whether it's people, whether it's nature, whether it's
the economy, whatever.
Exactly, right?
You can change your values pretty quick for a few $million.
One positive aspect that you have at the municipal level is that you have a consensus government.
Absolutely.
So you don't have that combative nature that you have in provincial and federal level. Right? So you can work from that. For me, in my opinion, and I talk about that in the book, where at the provincial and federal level, if you had these laws, these reforms, these new legislations, vetting, screening processes, why would you need, competition within having political parties?
Right.
It's not necessary. If you look at a business, if you look at an intimate relationship, if you want something healthy, both parties try to work together.
Absolutely.
True.
Everybody tries to work together.
It's true.
Yeah, if it doesn't work out,
and this is what triggers this
like we
this
kinda do have that, but
vilifying,
we don't.
toxic
Like,
element in politics when it comes to provincial and federal level, right? So you got to try
Fair
to
enough.
blame that party or blame that politician.
Right.
Don't need that. Just work together, but just be factual. Just be honest. If it's an opinion, say it's an opinion. Don't say it like it is an absolute truth that you're going to promise this or do this or this is the cause of this. No, just if you don't know, it's okay not to know.
fair.
Right? It's okay not to know. That's something that seems to have been lost in society.
For
It's
sure.
okay not to know.
Like
Let's investigate it and find out as close as we can what is objectively true. Let's work from there. And if we need to adjust, we'll adjust. And that should be the same thing here in the town.
Right.
We tried this. You look at the Mountain Road Avenue going up.
Oh, yes,
like that.
absolutely.
There's an issue there.
Yeah.
Okay, they tried that. Maybe they had good intentions, right? It's causing some problems now. Okay, well, let's review it. Let's not be ashamed of making a bad decision if it was.
Right.
And let's just work on it. That's
Ownership,
okay.
ownership
It's okay
goes
to be
a
wrong.
long ways. Like,
Very
dude,
good
like
point.
I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, and hey, man, like at the end of the day, if you own up and say, hey, man, that was my mess up. Like,
When's the last time
I'm
you
sorry.
heard
Like,
a politician, let's say that? You know what I mean? Like,
point.
I think that happens very, very.
Good point.
That doesn't happen very often to have something
Like, hey, my
owning
bad.
up their mistakes.
right, my
you know?
bad. We'll try
Yeah.
to rectify
Yeah.
it. I apologize. That was 100% my fault. Stuff happens. It is what it is. But we don't. Yeah, good point, Dan. We don't really see that. And I mean,
That's what we should. But that's what we should have.
normal day life, you see it all the time. Like, sorry, my bad, dude. I ran right into you at the grocery store. I didn't mean it. Like,
For
I'm sorry.
sure.
It goes a long ways instead of just being like, oh, hey, man, that's your fault. Well, that's a confrontation, right? So
Absolutely.
And especially when you see politicians, whether at municipal or provincial or federal level, like just look at you said earlier, and like they show, if you don't show any shame, any remorse, any guilt, and you say sorry, but you don't change,
It's pretty manipulative.
there's something wrong there.
Right.
For sure.
There's something wrong there that needs to be addressed and looked at.
that's not accountability either, right? At the end of the day, that's just saying sorry to say sorry to get it
Yeah.
to get it gone. You're not really sorry. Like,
No.
there's no remorse. You're like, you're not gonna.
work
yeah.
to change,
Right. Yeah. You're not gonna,
to address
yeah,
it.
that's because there's nothing to work through in your mind. You're just like, oh, whatever. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, it's just, yeah, you know how it goes.
So, what would be the first thing that you would do if you had your way as far as our governance system, whether it be federal, municipal? What would be the first thing that you would do if given the chance?
Look, it's like the old concept of saying honesty is the best policy.
I would
Right.
agree.
Okay.
True.
Right. So for me, the first thing is addressing that issue with legislation.
With lies in government.
In court, you have such a thing as perjury.
No doubt. Right.
Okay. To try to keep the integrity of the process of the judiciary.
Absolutely.
Right.
Fair enough.
There should be some type of political perjury.
Political perjury. That's a great point. Great point.
No doubt.
That
To me,
could, that
to me,
could, that
it
that
seems
would
like
be
That's
radical,
actually like
and
the easiest way.
maybe for some people,
Well,
but for
easiest
me,
way-
it's like you have to. If in a position of power and leadership with so much responsibility
It makes sense.
that you're giving to someone, you have to have a mechanism there, checks and balances
Right.
to address that issue.
absolutely.
Just be honest. That's all I'd ask. If you're wrong and you were honest, that's okay.
Right.
I can work with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can respect that still.
For sure. I don't
What
think
you
that's that
need-
radical of an opinion.
No, not at all. It's like most people would, I would say, even in real life, would expect that from just the general human population.
sure.
You know what
Yep.
I mean? Like, just own up, man. It's not that, like, it's not a big deal. We get it. Everyone makes mistakes. You don't have to try to hide it and blame it on somebody else and do all this behind the backs tactics to make some big thing out of something else. Like, it's just, man, just say, I'm sorry. That was my fault. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Well,
Very
simple.
interesting stuff, Max. Where can people pick up a copy of your book if they're looking to learn
Yeah.
more on the subject? I know I've been dipping into it. It's just got me thinking about how we run things and why things are in place the way they are. Where can they pick up their copy?
It's on Amazon.
Okay, Amazon.
And I also gave a copy at the library in Canmore
Beautiful.
and at the library in Banff.
Awesome.
So
Free access. There
free
you go.
access there. So, and if you want to buy a copy, by all means, it's on Amazon.
Absolutely. I would definitely recommend it.
No
Quick
doubt.
little search and you can have your own copy. Expand your mind on different political psychologies, I guess would be. It's a different way of thinking as far as the political spectrum. And hopefully one day it could lead to reform. So
I hope so.
thanks so much for sitting down with us, Max, and
Okay.
sharing your ideas and your book, of course. Go pick it up today.
No doubt.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're back.
Let's go.
Some riveting stuff from our
No doubt.
guest, Max, huh?
This guy's awesome, man. He very well spoken for sure.
Absolutely. If you want to learn more, go pick up his book. We got a copy right here, Beyond Democracy. And again, free access at the library right here in Banff or down in Canmore.
No doubt. Let's get it.
Now, while we're on the topic, lots of
Yes.
politics going on in the Bow Valley coming up this summer.
Yes, we've got the G7 summit coming to Kananaskis.
Kananaskis, yes. So the Group of Seven, also known as the G7, is an informal grouping of the seven's world's most advanced economies and the European Union. Its members meet annually at the G7 summit to discuss global economics and geopolitical issues.
Nice, yeah. Like this year, it looks like France, United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Canada will be attending. So very cool.
Absolutely, as well as delegates from the European Union as well.
Nice, let's go.
Yeah. So if you want to pull up the slide, Matt.
Yeah, let's go.
So, representing Canada, the host nation, of course, we will have our Prime Minister, Mark Carney. From France, we will have Emmanuel Macron, their president. From Germany, we have Friedrich Merz, their chancellor. From Italy, Matt?
We've got Giorgia Meloni, so that's their prime minister there. Japan, Shigeru Ishiba, and that's their prime minister.
From the UK, we have Keir Starmer, their prime minister.
Yeah, I think there's an earlier. Yeah.
And from the United States,
We got our boy
weighing
Donnie.
in. No.
We got our boy Donnie Trump.
We got
he'll be
Donnie
there
Trump.
also.
And then from the European Union, Antonio Costa and Ursula von der Leyen. So I guess it's the European Union and all the other delegates. Now, very important to note that this is not the only meeting that they have. They've been meeting elsewhere throughout the year, discussing current affairs and what they're going to be talking about at the summit. Cool. So the 12th to the 14th of March was the foreign ministers meeting. That was in Charlevoix, Quebec. The 20th to the 22nd of May coming up, we will have the finance ministers and central governors meetings. That will be right here in Banff, Alberta.
Let's go.
And those will all be leading up to the 15th to the 17th of June, the Leaders Summit.
Cool.
Matt, you want to cut back to our main screen?
Let's go.
So the leaders will be gathering from the 15th to 17th in Kananaskis. Now, the G7, they talk about all types of stuff, like we said earlier, from global security and economic crisis, health issues, development challenges, has also inspired progress and ambitious priorities in democracy, cybersecurity, ocean cleanup, women's education. They cover all types of stuff. During the foreign ministers meeting, this was the previous one that they held in March from the 12th to the 14th. Here are some of the topics that were covered at that might give us a little insight as to what we will be they'll be broaching at the summit this year. So they were talking about Ukraine's long-term prosperity and security, regional peace and stability in the Middle East, which of course definitely needs to be discussed.
Cooperation to increase security and resilience across the Indo-Pacific. Building stability and resilience in Haiti and Venezuela as well.
Supporting lasting peace in Sudan and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, as well as strengthening sanctions and countering hybrid warfare, as well as sabotage. So, like, the topics are pretty much endless. I'm sure economy is going to be a big one at this this summit, given our current state of turmoil.
No doubt.
We got a few stats on what this summit is going to bring, or what they anticipate the summit to bring to Kananaskis and the Bow Valley as a whole. So that's Banff, Canmore, and of course Kananaskis. So we're talking approximately 5,000 participants in total, which consist of 70 VIP guests, 2,000 delegates, 1,400 journalists, which we hope to be a part of, 400 summit staff, over 10,000 hotel rooms used. So good luck getting a hotel in Banff during that time.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning of the summer. It's got to be pretty crazy.
No doubt.
There's going to be thousands of security personnel. So the impact on the town of Banff, they're saying, is going to be minimal, just due to the fact that we're regularly used to accommodating that many tourists.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's going to be on top of what we normally
Well, if the rooms are all booked, like, where's anybody going to stay, right? So
I guess you're right. I mean, once the hotel rooms are full, you can't really get in. It's going to be pretty wild. So there's going to be some affected amenities, especially in the town of Banff. So the International Media Center is going to be located right here in town, up at the Banff Center with our friends up there.
Very cool.
So they're going to have heightened security. So some of the access to the Banff Center might be restricted, and as well as some of the areas surrounding it. Obviously, you got dignitaries from all over the world. Security is going to be pretty tight. The Sally Borden Fitness and Recreation Center, the access to the weight room, climbing gym, and aquatic center will remain open.
There you go.
During the G7. So for all those that are working out, climbing, you will still have access to that.
What the parking lot will be closed for public use on St. Julian Road at the base of Tunnel Mountain Trailhead. Bus traffic on Tunnel Mountain Drive and Buffalo Street around the Surprise Corner will limit access to the viewpoint and parking area. Walking to the viewpoint is recommended for that one.
For sure. Yeah. So if you're planning on going to check out Surprise Corner during that time, you're probably not going to be able to park up there. So definitely a short walk or bike from town is always recommended. Important to note that the restaurants up at the Banff Center will be closed. So the Mac Lab and Vista's Dining Room, I'm sure they will be attending to the media up there. A couple road closures to note: that St. Julian Road will be closed between Wolverine Street and St. Julian Way from June 13th to the 17th. St. Julian Way will also be closed at Tunnel Mountain Drive during this period, and access will be controlled by traffic or security personnel. Temporary road closures. The G7 Leaders Summit often includes a spousal program, which may involve visits to locations near Banff, which may require temporary rolling closures to ensure the security of the participants. So that's pretty cool. I guess the spouses of the delegates can come and hang out and see Banff and stuff.
That's sweet, dude. That'd be awesome. Just like you go to work, honey. I'm gonna go check out Banff.
Right?
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
who knows? You might see some kind of rolling closures or blockades around that time. I'm pretty excited to see.
We got some superstars coming to Banff.
We do.
It's
It's going to be exciting to see what's going to happen. We also have some other people coming to town during that time, which we'll get to in a little bit. So obviously, this event will be met with some very serious security measures. You may have seen the influx in air traffic over the Bow Valley and Kananaskis over the recent months. This has all been to kind of prepare and scope out the area leading up. We do have some slides for the significant closures which will be happening. So Matt, if you want to go to the first one.
for sure.
So this here is a map of the controlled access zone. So you can obviously see some roads going through here, some very popular trails and destinations in this zone. And we have them listed here for you so you can avoid planning them in your summer plans. The first one is Troll Falls Day Use Area will be closed from May 20th to June 30th. The Kovach Pond Day Use Area will be closed from March 10th to July 31st. The Mount Lorette Ponds and Beaver Ponds Day Use Area will be closed from June 6th to June 20th. The Galatea Day Use Area, including the Lillian Lake and the Galatea Lakes, will be closed from June 6th to June 20th. No unauthorized vehicles are allowed past Mount Lorette Ponds, south on Highway 40, or the Galatea Creek parking lot, north on Highway 40, from June 10th to June 18th.
Cool.
That noted, there are alternate routes that lead into Peter Lougheed Provincial Park. If you're looking to get to the south end of Kananaskis, which include Highway 40 via Highway 541 from Longwood, which is also known as Highwood Pass, which is important to note. It's also the highest paved road in Canada.
Very cool.
Pretty cool.
Did not know that.
2,206 meters of elevation. Another way around this whole closure will be Highway 472, or the Smith-Dorian Trail.
Cool.
Which exits just outside the back of Canmore. You go past the Nordic Center, you keep driving up that mountain road.
Okay, right.
Important to note that there is no cell phone coverage back there, and it is a unpaved gravel mountain road.
Yeah, it's wild back there. It can get pretty washboardy.
It can get pretty bad, so make sure your vehicle's in top shape if you are taking that route. Four-wheel drive always recommended, especially when you're talking about unpaved roads in the mountains, especially in the spring, because you still might have some pretty wild weather up there.
Yeah, no kidding.
The next slide for us, Matt, is very interesting. Now, the protest zone. It's been released over a few media outlets lately that the town of Banff will have a designated protest zone for the G7.
What are they processing?
So the G7 has always met with a whole bunch of protesters, right? Because it's the 7 most powerful nations in the world. People take that opportunity to go out and get their messages heard. Now, there's been some hemming and hawing on where it's going to be and how it's going to be kind of thought out. Now, the town manager, Kelly Gibson, said through a CTV statement, like we have up on the screen right now, that it's a proposed location. Now, the proposed location would be,
It looks like the parking lot just
Exactly.
down, where they do the farmers market there, right on Buffalo Street.
Yes.
So kind of just across the street from the bank there. That's actually where I DJ'd.
The post office, actually.
Yeah, just across from the post office. Yeah.
So the post office and the library, where they have kind of the Central Park parking lot, will be closed and gated off as a protest zone. Now, when the RCMP in their interview, they said that the decision has been made. I checked on the Town of Banff website, and they do have this slotted as the zone for protest. So I think the whole idea is to have cameras or a camera feed
Okay.
to the leaders at the summit so they can kind of see the protesters. I plan to be down there interviewing protesters with Matt.
Very cool. Let's go.
So we're going to go down and see what some of the protesters have to say. I think it's a very interesting point, something that we should bring to light in our town. Who's coming here to protest? Why are they coming here to protest? And where do they park?
Yeah, not in that parking lot, obviously.
So yeah, very interesting stuff. Our town is going to be, I don't want to say overran, but it's going to be a pretty wild time. There's going to be lots and lots of people coming through town.
Yep.
The RCMP-led group, Integrated Safety and Security, has chosen this just because to them, and I guess it would be the least amount of disruption as far as traffic goes.
That makes sense.
For sure. So I can't wait to see what kind of people are going to be coming to Banff to protest specifically.
Right. No doubt. What do we got next?
I think I got another slide potentially. Was there only two there?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. Right on. So stay tuned for more info on the G7. We're going to kind of bring you more info as we lead up closer to the date. We're looking to get accredited so we can hopefully go in and meet some of the delegates and get some interviews and see, how this multicultural worldwide event is going to touch our town and the Bow Valley as a whole. So stay tuned for more.
Heck yeah.
Let's cut to a word from our sponsors, Matt. I think they've been hearing from us for a while. Let's crack ourselves a shaft.
Let's do it.
This episode is brought to you by the Non-Alc Shaft. If you're looking for a clean energy drink that's gluten-free, vegan, naturally caffeinated with real coffee, perfect for the quick pick-me-up middle of the afternoon, or heck, in the morning when you're on the way to the hill, be sure to check out the beautiful black non-alc can sold as singles or as 4-packs down at Townhouse Liquor. I know my fridge is stocked up.
We're back, baby.
We're on?
We're on, baby.
We're on. All right. So now that we got all the political stuff out of the way, we do have some posts for you. Now, the first one is from our friends down at the Banff Ghost Walk.
Let's go.
So if you haven't tuned into our Ghost Walks episode, go back and tune in. One of the episodes that kind of surprised me as far as how great of a time I had when I went on the Ghost Walk. Now they're restarting their Ghost Walks for the year with a charity event. So Ghost Tours are back and they got an amazing fundraiser to kick off their summer season. Banff Canmore Ghost Walks are returning for their 5th season starting May 1st. For the entire month of May, tickets will be specially priced at $20 for new guides and training. $10 of every ticket will go towards 2 local charities. All Banff locations proceeds will go to the YWCA Banff, and all Canmore proceeds will go to the Bow Valley Connection Center. So go hang out with a brand new cast of guides and have a great time for a great cause. Some blackout dates are in effect, that being said, so go see their website for more information. Get your tickets through Discover Banff Tours or in person at Sundance Mall. You can always get them over the phone at 403-760-5007 or check out banffcanmoreghostwalks.ca for more information.
Nice. That's sick to see they're back up and running for the year.
Back up and expanding. Way
Let's
to be.
go, no doubt.
Honestly, it doesn't have to be spooky season to go for one of these tours. Just for like the history alone, it's a great time. So definitely go check it out.
Sick. All right. What do we got next?
Next one here is the community cleanup. I love
Sick.
Banff. Do you love Banff, Matt?
Yes, obviously.
Obviously. If you love Banff and you want to help clean it up at an awesome community event, there's one going on next Saturday, May 3rd from 9 to 2 p.m. You can join the Town of Banff and Parks Canada as they pick up litter in their neighborhood and the national park. They will provide you with all the necessary tools and give you a nice little designated area in an effort to clean up as many spaces as possible. Join them for the cleanup, then a community barbecue. There's also a toy exchange.
Nice.
So to learn about Banff's environmental programs and all types of activities, this one's free. You can learn more at banff.ca/community events. And that's also where you're going to register for this one because they kind of got to know how many people are coming. It's just so they know how much to prepare for the barbecue.
Yeah, how many burgers we need?
Lots.
Let's go.
Hopefully.
Hopefully lots.
Lots.
All right. Oh, right. I saw this one. So this was a cougar sighting. So this was this last night?
This would have been 2 days ago.
Okay. So yeah, anyways, a couple of days ago, 10:15 p.m., there was a cougar wandering around between 600 Cougar Street, funny enough, and Pika Place. Parks were called. The ranger had a look around. And then at 8:45 a.m., they spotted a cougar print in the snow across from the Gospel Church down there. So
pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, dude. It's that time of year. Everything's kind of getting rolling here. Like the wildlife's out. They're doing their thing.
Definitely. If you think of it from like a logical point of view, right? As the valleys thaw first, all the predatory animals have to come into the valleys in order to find their prey. It's pretty straightforward. So encounters with wildlife are definitely much higher around this time of year.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the next slide already.
We'll get to it. So make sure you're bringing your bear spray, even if it's just around town. We got another post later we're going to go through, which might be a lot closer than you think. So let's cut to the fun.
Okay, so Dan, just give us a little.
So this post was hilarious. It was posted as a video on Overheard in Banff, and you got these two people, a couple obviously, that are dressed in beautiful pink attire. And they're promoting a swingers event going on at the Mount Royal Hotel. And the original post reads, "Thoughts and prayers to the Mount Royal Hotel cleaning staff."
No doubt, dude. Oh, this video is just why I don't know why you didn't cap it. It was so good. Yeah, so we're gonna have lots of naked, sexy swingers here. There's gonna be 200 swingers. Like our favorite color is pink. I was like, oh my god, this is brutal. I don't know how they didn't all end up at the restaurant, but
I don't know how you can like straight up openly advertise having naked people, swingers in the hot tub. I mean, all the power to them. We're not here to kink shame. That's the last thing that we would do, because people are allowed to do what they want.
That's right.
I hope they had a great time. The comments on this video were
were wild. Oh, dude, some of them were just great, dude.
What were some of your faves, Matt?
I don't even know. It was just like the hotel staff ones. It's like, what was the other one? Hope nobody went in that hot tub between whatever and whatever time. It was just like the funniest shit.
CM something Calgary was like, I want whatever they pull out of the drains when they clean them or something.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. And it was like don't kink shame.
Yeah.
Hilarious stuff. They were talking about come back next year, and some of the comments were like, don't come back. Like, you know what? Who cares? Let them do what they want. They paid for the hotel room. They want to bang with a nice view. You can't blame them.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. All right. So, bear sighting. Where was this one?
Legacy Trail. So to me, this spot looks like just outside of town, just past the Cascade Ponds turnoff, I think, because the fence is on the other side there for a little bit.
Right.
So close to town, we got a beautiful looking grizzly. You can tell by the humps on the back shoulders. Definitely not a black bear.
Yeah.
A big old grizz.
Yeah, don't mess with that bad boy.
Absolutely. There was another video that I saw that I did not get for the post this week. It was Split Lip. That was being escorted by our nice friends of Parks Canada across the entrance of town, right where the Banff sign is.
Oh, geez, really?
Yeah. So again, we kind of forget that they're there.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty popular trail too, like the Fenton Loop down there.
100%.
Oh, that's crazy. That's wild. And that's a big boy too. That guy's like 1,000 pounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big bear.
So a friendly reminder to have your wits about you. If you like running or cycling with headphones, this might be the time to drop down to one and keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, just rock a single bud and let it rip.
Preferably zero buds. Listen to the sounds of nature so you don't encounter one of these big boys.
No doubt. What do we got next here? This looks like an absolute.
Next one, we had to throw it back with a meme. This one was a banger, was ripped up this week from a all-star contributor on Overheard in Banff. The picture is this guy that does train reviews. Have you seen this guy on Instagram?
Yeah.
He's so funny. He gets super excited over trains, and he'll has this camera. It's got to be on the brim of his hat, and it looks kind of down towards his face.
I think it's a 360 cam.
It's so good. Anyways, the caption reads, "Me, just a quiet one tonight. I've got work in the morning." And then it says, "Me at the cash register at 3 a.m. He's got like a big smirk and the eyes are sideways. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's absolutely gold.
If you didn't see it, go check it out on Overheard in Banff. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
No doubt.
I think we covered a lot.
We did.
Shifting gears a little bit.
There's a lot going on coming up here for, I guess, the entire Bow Valley and the G7 summit and all that. So lots to talk about, man.
Absolutely. And we're going to try to keep you best informed as we can here on the Overheard podcast. So don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. Once again, for all the lurkers that are out there listening to our show but not liking or subscribing, do us a favor. Like, subscribe. We'll bring you amazing episodes every single week.
Let's go.
We want to thank our listeners, everyone, for tuning in today.
Yeah.
We want to thank our guest, Max. He's out on his boat right now somewhere enjoying life. So we want to give him a big shout out before he gets back on the road promoting his book and doing more political activism. Political perjury, Matt. What do you think?
I think we need it, man.
I think we need it. I think it would be
At least some accountability.
it would be a very difficult road to get there, though. It would involve people in power putting rules in place to limit their own power or to hold themselves accountable. Which would you do it?
I mean, I would.
I would. I think we just need more people that don't have those personality traits in politics.
No doubt.
One step at a time. One step at a time,
boys.
Big thanks to our sponsor, Drink Shaft. We cannot do it without you.
Let's go.
If you're looking to advertise with us, don't be shy to drop into the DMs or email us, overheardpod@gmail.com for further inquiries. Get your name out there. Get your name on the pod. We'll talk about you.
Heck yeah.
For sure. These.
Let's go.
Can't get enough of them.
No doubt.
Thanks for tuning in. Like every week.
See you next Tuesday. Peace.